Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of Dragon King Part 2 based on novel. So let's start. Tang San and Lang Yu hadn't eaten their fill yet as all the food on the table had been sucked into their son's belly like a tornado. Yet, Tang Wulin still wasn't full. "Son, you the indignant food devourer of legend," said Tang San helplessly. In the end, all of the food on the table was inhaled by Tang Wulin's belly, and Lang Yu had to forbid him from eating any more. Puzzled, Tang Wulin looked at his father. "Dad, why am I indignant?" Tang San replied, "Dad really wants to ask you, son, do you plan on entering the Soul Master class, or do you want Dad to help you enter the ordinary class?" Tang Wulin answered, "Of course it's the Soul Master class. I want to become a famous Soul Master." Tang San firmly said, "Your martial soul is the blue-silver grass." Even in the legends about the Tang sect's ancestor, the blue-silver grass was an extremely average martial soul. Cultivating it will definitely be difficult and you will encounter many challenges. Do you really wish to walk down this path? Yeah. I want to become a Soul Master. After I become a Soul Master, I can make lots of money and buy Mom and Dad lots of delicious food. Tang Wulin was full to the brim with childish dreams. To the side, Lang Yu watched him with red eyes and thought about how he had always been well-behaved and thoughtful since he was little. "Good," Tang San nodded. "Since you're set on this, then Mom and Dad will support you. But if you regret this choice in the future, just tell Dad, and I'll help you transfer classes. Just remember that Mom and Dad have never wanted you to become a dragon or a phoenix. We only want you to be happy. We'll be content as long as you're happy. There's nothing else more important in our hearts than your happiness. Do you understand?" Tang Wulin beamed a bright smile in reply. "I'm already really happy right now." Aside from being hungrier than before, Tang Wulin also seemed much thirstier and sleepier as well, resulting in him going to bed early. The next day, just as the sky revealed the first glimmers of light, Tang Wulin was woken up by his father. Today was the day he would begin attending the academy. He had officially entered the Red Mountain Academy's Soul Master class. This would be the first day of his 9 years of learning. According to the regulations set by the Sun Moon Federation, elementary and intermediate academies had free tuition and were compulsory. Elementary academy was 3 years while the intermediate academy was 6 years long. There were several ways to enter an advanced academy: outstanding achievements, paying an exceedingly expensive tuition, or entering an academy of science and specializing in a field of study. Tang San accompanied Tang Wulin to the academy gates before leaving as the academy was very close to their home. Before leaving to go work, Tang San repeatedly urged Tang Wulin to directly return home after school. The Soul Master class specially had a teacher at the front doors to welcome the new students. Clearly, they were treated much better than the ordinary students. The ordinary class would receive a normal cultural education while the Soul Master class would also learn how to use their innate soul power to become Soul Masters. They would also be taught knowledge essential to Soul Masters and prepared to enter an intermediate academy. This year's Soul Master class only had 15 students. The number of children who had awakened soul power were simply too low. It was even more apparent in a small city like Glorybound City. This year's arrivals could actually be considered a lot. "Hey, what's your martial soul?" a chubby boy who wasn't too tall asked, happening to be beside Tang Wulin. They were all the same age, all brimming with curiosity and anticipation for the Soul Master class. Tang Wulin proudly answered, "It's the same as the Tang sect's founding ancestors, the blue-silver grass." As he said this, he flipped his hand, and a blue light flickered in his palm. A single strand of blue-silver grass danced in his palm. However, he didn't notice that this blue-silver grass was different than yesterday's. Near its roots the grass had changed to a faint golden color. It was so indistinct that if no one would be able to discover it unless they meticulously examined it. "PFF," the little fatty said disdainfully, blue-silver grass. That's a trash martial soul." After insulting Tang Wulin, he ignored him and coldly walked away. Tang Wulin couldn't accept this. "Then what about you? What's your martial soul?" With a snort, the little fatty waved his right hand, causing a cold light to glow and a small knife to materialize in his hands. Have you had a good look? My martial soul is a knife. If I'm able to cultivate to the rank of title Dolor, then I'll be the knife god Dolor. I have rank 5 innate soul power. I can casually chop your blue-silver grass into tatters. Looking at the difference between the fatty's short knife and his own blue-silver grass, Tang Wulin suddenly recalled the words his father had said the evening before. Will cultivating blue-silver grass as a soul master really be that difficult? All of the other students had already displayed their martial soul and boasted about its characteristics. Regardless of which martial soul it was, they were all far better than his blue-silver grass. Due to this, none of the other students paid any attention to him as they began forming their groups. I'll definitely become a soul master. Tang Wulin resolved to himself with clenched fists. Hello everyone. I'm your homeroom teacher, Lin Shimeng. I'll be teaching you the basic knowledge required for soul masters over the next 3 years. How about you all introduce yourselves now? Tell us your name, martial soul and innate soul power rank. There were only 15 students, so the introductions went by quickly. When Li Shimeng heard that Tang Wulin's martial soul was blue-silver grass, he couldn't help but be startled while the other students roared with laughter. Tang Wulin's little face blushed a deep red. It felt as if he was restraining a ball of fire within his heart. Were these the challenges that you spoke of, Dad? Lin Shimeng quickly regained his composure and smiled. Today is your first day of class, so I'll be explaining the different classifications for martial souls first. In the afternoon, I'll teach you how to meditate. Meditation is the only way to temper and improve your soul power. If you want to become a true soul master, then you all must strive your hardest. As you all know, everyone in our world has a martial soul. One's martial soul awakens at the age of 6, and it can be anything. If one also awakens soul power, then they can cultivate to become a soul master. Now a question for all of you, what classifications are there for martial souls? First of all, the two main classes are tool souls and beast souls. Among them, all of the martial souls that appear on the body are beast souls. If they appear separately from the body, then they are tool souls. By cultivating your soul power, you're able to upgrade your martial soul. After your soul power reaches rank 10, then you're able to become a soul master. There are also two main classes of soul masters: the battle soul masters and utility soul masters. Those who cultivate with the goal of fighting are battle soul masters. Regardless of what someone's martial soul is, they are still a soul master. There are also many minor classifications. Tang Wulin's depression gradually faded away as he listened to Lin Shimeng explain the classifications of martial souls and soul masters. He had been filled with a curiosity toward soul masters since he was small. To him, this knowledge was like a door, opening up a brand new magnificent world. Tang Wulin was clearly unhappy as he walked out of the Red Mountain Academy's gates. The long day coupled with these major events clearly dampened his expectations. He had grown up in an ordinary household, full of harmony. His parents' relationship was excellent, and they loved him dearly. Even when he made a mistake, they would sincerely correct him. However, today was the first time he had ever encountered these so-called challenges. Because his martial soul was blue-silver grass, he was rejected by the other students. To make matters worse, the teacher didn't treat him very well either. During the afternoon, the teacher clearly spent the least amount of time instructing him on how to meditate. Is my martial soul really that bad? Tang Wulin's depressed expression gradually changed into one of stubbornness. Even if my martial soul is no good, I'll definitely become an important soul master. Dad told me before, success is 99% effort and 1% talent. Since my martial soul isn't any good, then I'll just have to put in even more effort. With his optimistic nature, he had already overcome the depression of the day while inadvertently resolving himself. Anyways, why am I so hungry? Tang Wulin was puzzled as he rubbed his belly. The academy included one meal for lunch, and that meal was limitless. In the aspect of food, the Soul Master class also had much better food than the ordinary classes. Tang Wulin had eaten so much that he was given the nickname of Rice Bucket. He had eaten enough to fill half a dozen other students, and far surpassed the capacity of an adult. His eating capacity wasn't small before, but it certainly hadn't reached this extent. It was only afternoon now, yet he was already hungry. He was going to go and see if there was anything good to eat at home. His eye lit up at the mere thought of eating. As he was walking down the road, a small figure attracted his attention. The afternoon sun wasn't too harsh, but the weather that day was unusually good. So, the sunshine simply produced a comfortable warmth. The sunlight had shined down upon a smear of silver, catching Tang Wulin's attention. A little girl was squatted down near the roadside. She was slightly shorter than him with a head of short silver hair. The sunlight had reflected off it, creating a silver flash and attracting Tang Wulin's attention. It was as if there was some sort of profound attraction between the two of them. The young girl raised her head and returned his gaze. She wore shabby clothes in addition to a dirt-stained face, clearly resembling a little beggar. However, aside from her silver hair, she also had two eyes that stood out from the crowd. She had big eyes, with two crystal-clear amethyst pupils. Even though they were separated by a distance, Tang Wulin could see his image reflected in her eyes, naturally long eyelashes framing them. Tang Wulin's eyes were very pretty, so when he encountered a fellow large-eyed person, he automatically had a favorable impression of her. He had unconsciously stopped walking. Two pairs of eyes peered into each other as the little girl directly met his gaze with her pretty eyes, somewhat bewildered. "Little girl, where are your parents?" Right at that moment, several young delinquents surrounded her after being attracted by her silver hair. The little girl avoided their eyes, once again lowering her head. The delinquents shot looks to one another before one of them called out, "Silver hair is really rare. Could you be from one of the other two continents? I reckon the black market dealers will really like her silver hair and purple eyes." Greed colored their eyes as they nodded towards each other. The youngster who had previously spoken squatted down. "Hey, little girl. Where's your family?" Without speaking, she shook her lowered head. Beaming with smiles, the youngster said, "Are you hungry? Big brother will bring you to eat some good things, how about it?" The little girl shook her head once again, but this time, she shook it much more forcefully. The youngster shot a meaningful look to his companions before reaching out his hand to pull the little girl's arm, lifting her up against her will. His companions encircled them, obstructing others from seeing this. Even as the little girl let out a frightened scream, the youngster already had her over his shoulders. "What are you doing?" Right at that moment, a childish voice full of fury called out, giving the youngster and his companions a fright. They couldn't help but reveal resentful faces when they turned around to look. The person who had come to aid the one suffering an injustice was unexpectedly a tiny pretty boy who didn't even reach their waists. The youngster in the back revealed a trace of cruelty. He raised one of his legs and kicked Tang Wulin away. "Brat, you dare to meddle with us." Tang Wulin tumbled away and landed a little more than 2 meters away, completely covered in dirt. "You guys are villains." He had rolled on the ground but immediately got up. He charged towards the youngsters in order to bar their way. The youngster who was carrying the little girl exposed a vicious face. The ruckus they had made had already attracted the attention of some pedestrians. After all, this had all occurred on a main street. A cold light flickered from his wrist and a dagger appeared in the youngster's hand. He gestured towards Tang Wulin, F***CK off if you don't want to die. Tang Wulin stubbornly glared and furiously replied, "Villains won't have a good end. I'm a soul master, I'm not afraid of you. Release her." As he spoke, Tang Wulin lifted his right hand, and a light blue ring of light twinkled. The blue-silver grass appeared in his palm in its waving fashion. A faint energy undulated outwards from it. What could rank 3 soul power do? It only made him a bit more powerful than his peers. He didn't have a soul ring to support his soul. His soul was far from being battle-capable. This was also the reason why cultivation was essential to being promoted from the lowest soul scholar rank to the soul master rank. The youngster blanked out for a moment as his companions tugged on his arm. If it was only a regular boy, Then they wouldn't have to do anything in particular. They would only have to cover for each other, and there wouldn't be any trouble. But a child that possessed soul power was different. The government maintained special records on these children. Even the Spirit Pagoda had records on these children. If anything happened to these special children, the federal government would definitely expend a lot of resources to search for the cause. What's more, many bystanders have already witnessed their deeds. Such bad luck. The head of the youngsters was unresigned, but he set down little girl with an angry growl and quickly left with his companions. The little girl stumbled and fell onto her butt. Seeing this, Tang Wulin hurriedly ran over and crouched beside her. "Don't be scared. I'm a man. I'll protect you." The little girl raised her head and looked at him. Up close, those large purple eyes of hers were even prettier. Within her pupils, a layer of mist seemed to have appeared. "Don't cry, don't cry. I've already driven away the villains. My name is Tang Wulin. What's your name?" The little girl foolishly stared at him for a moment before finally opening her mouth. "My name is Enea." "Enea? That's a nice name, and your voice is so pleasant to hear." Tang Wulin helped her up. Enea lowered her head but didn't say a word. "Where's your mom and dad? Where is your home?" Tang Wulin asked. Enea shook her head. Gu. A peculiar sound suddenly disrupted their harmony. Tang Wulin hastily lowered his head to look at his stomach, but he quickly realized that those sounds weren't made by him. Even though Enea's face was covered in dust, an indistinct blush could be seen. "Are you hungry? If you can't find your mom and dad, I can bring you to my house. My mom's cooking is delicious." As Tang Wulin spoke, he pulled onto Enea's hand while walking in the direction of his home. Enea raised her head and looked towards him. From her position, she could only see the side of his face. His face was rosy thanks to the previous fight with a few youths, turning red with vigor. He had large black eyes and long eyelashes. She couldn't help but stare blankly at his meaningful glance. "Mom, I'm home!" Tang Wulin shouted before even stepping into his home. "Child, lower your voice. Don't disturb the neighbors." Lang Yu rebuked him while opening the door. "How was school today?" Why are you covered in dirt?" Lang Yu frowned as she looked at her son, who was covered in dust. After that, she saw Enea, whose hand was being held by Tang Wulin. "Mom, I've encountered some villains." Tang Wulin lively and realistically told her what had just transpired. After hearing his words, Lang Yu's expression changed before she dragged him inside the house. Enea, whose hand was being held by Tang Wulin, naturally entered the house as well. "Child, don't you know how dangerous that is? How could you?" Lang Yu was obviously anxious, judging from her erratic breathing. She completely understood what those youths from the common streets were capable of doing. Tang Wulin replied stubbornly, but father had said that boys need to be brave and gutsy to fight against villains. When Lang Yu saw the resolution in her son's large eyes, she didn't continue to reproach him. Was he wrong? Of course not. What he did was right. However, as a mother, she was more worried about her child's safety. Tang Wulin giggled and ran forward to hug his mother's leg. "Mom, don't be angry. Enea and I are hungry. Can you make some delicious food for us?" Regarding this adorable and obedient child, Lang Yu really couldn't continue to be mad at him. She helplessly shook her head before she crouched down towards Enea, who didn't say a single word. "Little friend, are you called Enea? Where's your mother and father?" Enea just shook her head as she had done previously, without saying a single word. Only a kind-hearted mother could bring up such a kind-hearted son. Lang Yu said, "All right. Look at how filthy the two of you are. You should go and wash up first before changing your clothes." 5 to 6-year-old children naturally didn't need to be separated by genders. Lang Yu pulled the two dirt-covered monkeys into the bathroom to give them a wash. When Tang Wulin asked Lang Yu why he and Enea were different, she only laughed without answering. However, Enea bashfully hid behind Lang Yu. "What? Enea, you're so pretty. As Tang Wulin sat at the side of the dining table, he supported his chin with both of his hands while looking at Enea, who was at his side, wearing his clothes. Tang Wulin was taller than Enea by half a head, so his clothes were very baggy when worn by Enea. Yet, this didn't affect Enea's beauty at all. Her skin was even fairer than Tang Wulin's. It was so white and delicate that it seemed as if water could be squeezed out with the slightest pinch, and after she showered, a faint, refreshing light fragrance was given off from her body. She was akin to a porcelain doll cut out of the finest pink jade. Enea raised her head and looked at him, but she remained as silent as before. It seemed that she really disliked speaking. It wasn't time for dinner yet, so Lang Yu served the two hungry children 2 small plates of biscuits and 2 cups of milk. One shouldn't judge Enea because she didn't like to talk. When she ate, she was unhesitant and devoured the food rapidly. In a short period of time, she had completely eaten all of the biscuits and drank all of the milk before her. Although Tang Wulin was hungry, it was clear that his curiosity towards Enea was beyond his hunger. When Enea was looking at the biscuit on his plate, he knew that Enea had already finished her portion. Here you go. Tang Wulin generously pushed his biscuits to be in front of Enea. Enea looked at him as she shook her head. It's okay. You can have it. I ate a lot at noon. Tang Wulin said beamingly. Enea hesitated for a moment, but clearly the enticement of the biscuits was too great for her. In the end, the biscuits were eaten by her. Lang Yu also sat down. Enea, do you know where you come from or where your home is? Enea shook her head. Lang Yu continued to ask, do you know any methods to contact your family? Anything will do. Enea still shook her head. Lang Yu said, then how old are you? Enea shook her head once again, but at last, she opened her mouth. 5.5. What? This means that I'm your elder brother. I'm older than you as I'm 6 years old. Tang Wulin said in high spirits. Lang Yu snappily glared at him. Mother will bring Enea to the administrative office to investigate in a moment. We'll see if we can locate her family. You stay here and behave yourself, understood? Oh. Tang Wulin obediently nodded his head, but as he looked at Enea, he didn't know why he felt reluctant. It was probably because she was too beautiful. Lang Yu brought Enea out. Enea was her typical self as she didn't talk much before leaving with her. After they left, Tang Wulin returned to his room. He thought about what the teacher had taught in class today and decided to give meditation a try. Tang Wulin sat up straight in serenity. Meditation required tranquility to sense oneself and nature. This was the first step. Tang Wulin originally didn't have any distracting thoughts, so he quickly calmed down. He subconsciously felt his blue-silver grass martial soul, which wasn't strong but had feasible soul power. When first meditating, he was just required to accomplish that step. He should first feel his own martial soul and soul power, forcing his mind to maintain an intimate connection with each other. After this step was done, he could then continue to really meditate. Blue-silver grass lightly swayed in his mind. Tang Wulin suddenly felt that he could sense some of the world's blue-silver grass. It was delicate yet strong, with 1 year of withered glory as the spring breeze was reborn. While immersed in the blue-silver grasses world, Tang Wulin thought he heard many voices. These voices came in bits and pieces, yet were everywhere. Blue-silver grass was gentle, but it had tenacious vitality. It was the most abundant plant on the continent. Their staunch existence traced back tens of millions of years. Powerful soul beasts from that era were on the verge of extinction, but blue-silver grass covered the planet, the same as it did tens of thousands of years ago. Tang Wulin's faint awareness allowed him to sense the tiny existences in the air, as they were quietly absorbed into his body. Those existences blended completely in his feeble soul power. This fusion was neither fast nor substantial, yet he could still sense that this fusion was gradually increasing his soul power. Although it was only increasing it slightly, this increase was stable and persistent. After an unknown period of time, Tang Wulin naturally awakened from his state of meditation. His body felt cool and relaxed, as if he was wrapped up in countless strands of blue-silver grass. However, he was given a fright when he saw his father sitting opposite of him. "Dad, how come you're home so early?" Tang Wulin asked in astonishment. Tang Ziran smiled. "I'm not early. It's already night time. I see that you've already learned meditation. It seems the Red Mountain Academy's education is pretty good." Tang Wulin excitedly responded, "That's right. It seems that I can meditate now. Earlier, it felt as if many little things entered my body, Dad. Afterwards, my soul power began increasing. Can this be considered as learning meditation?" Tang Ziran was startled within his heart. In only one day, Tang Wulin was able to grasp the secrets of meditation. The things his son had sensed was definitely the art of meditation. This wasn't as simple as good instruction. Originally, he himself. "Yes, that's right. You've learned how to meditate. It seems that my son's comprehension abilities are pretty good." Tang Ziran has always been generous with praise towards his son. One must praise one's child when one saw their growth after all. For children, confidence was the most important thing. Tang Wulin couldn't help but be proud of himself when his father praised him. However, Tang Ziran interjected solemnly before Tang Wulin could respond. "Son, there's something I need to ask you." Tang Wulin rarely saw his father so serious, so he immediately restrained himself. "What's the matter, Dad? Have I done something wrong? You said that men have to be brave enough to battle villains. Furthermore, I didn't fight the other students when they ridiculed my blue-silver grass at school today. I was very obedient." Tang Ziran answered, "There's nothing wrong with being brave. But you also need to be wise in addition to being brave. When you know you don't have enough power to save others, then you must seek the help of others rather than rushing forward. If they weren't scared off by you showing your martial soul, you would have been caught up in a dangerous situation, son. That isn't brave, it's reckless." Tang Wulin contemplated this and took it to heart before lowering his head. "I was wrong, Dad." It was only now that Tang Ziran's smile reappeared. His son only had to be willing to acknowledge his mistake for him to truly realize his error. Men won't make that kind of mistake. "HN," Tang Wulin nodded. Tang Ziran smiled. "Good then. Let's discuss the next matter." Tang Wulin asked in surprise, "There's still another matter?" Tang Ziran let out a grunt. "Naturally, right when you turn 6 years old, you bring home a girl. Then what will you be like when you've grown up? What's more, you were the hero who saved a beauty. Not bad." It was only now that Tang Wulin remembered the matter of Enea and hurriedly asked, "Dad, has Enea found her family?" "She's certainly very pretty." Tang Ziran shook his head. "Your mother brought her to the administrative office to inquire, but we didn't find her information." Tang Wulin asked, "Then what's going to happen to her?" Tang Ziran responded, "You tell Dad." "What do you want to do?" Tang Wulin pondered over this. "How about we let her live with us, Dad? Is that all right?" Tang Ziran revealed a smile that wasn't quite a smile as he looked at him. "Live in our house? Mom and Dad couldn't possibly take care of 2 children." Tang Wulin hastily said, "I can take care of her. I can look after her after school." Tang Ziran smiled. "All right then. Let's eat first." When he entered the living room, Tang Wulin was surprised to see Enea already sitting at the dinner table with a docile appearance. "Enea!" Tang Wulin shouted before bouncing vivaciously to her side and very naturally began pulling on her delicate small hand. Lang Yu said, "We couldn't find any records on this child. We can only send her to the orphanage." "No. Let Enea stay, Mom." Tang Wulin stood in front of Enea with his arms spread wide. "Don't send her to the orphanage. Can't we let her stay here? At worst, I'll just have to eat a little less in the future." Enea raised her head and looked at Tang Wulin in a daze. Tang Wulin's body wasn't big or tall, but when Enea saw him protecting her, she couldn't help but tear up a bit. Lang Yu said, Lin Lin, you can't do as you wish and take the place of her family. You have to ask Enea if she wants to stay here or go to the orphanage." Tang Wulin immediately turned around, looking directly at Enea. Enea, why don't you stay with us? My mom makes really good food, and my dad is really nice. You can live together with me, and I'll definitely protect you. I've always wanted to have a younger sister. Why don't you stay and be my younger sister? Ian. Unexpectedly, Enea took the initiative to nod this time. Yay! This is great, I have a younger sister now. Tang Wulin happily bounced up and down. Afterwards, it was discovered that the children were unable to control their hunger. Despite the fact that Lang Yu had made extra food today, it still wasn't enough to satisfy the two big eaters. That was right, not only did Tang Wulin's food capacity increase, that petite body of Enea's was also a bottomless pit. Unexpectedly, her stomach wasn't any smaller than Tang Wulin's. They even ate the lunch Lang Yu had prepared for Tang Zuran to eat the next day. Even after all that, they didn't look satisfied at all. The house only had 2 rooms, and with the addition of Enea, she could only share a room with Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin and Tang Zuran had put up a divider in the middle of the room. Enea was very tired, falling asleep quickly. Dad, I'm going to meditate now. Tang Wulin felt unusually satisfied when he was meditating, and was impatiently desiring to feel that sensation again. He wanted to become a soul master. He had even more reason to become powerful now. He now had a little sister to protect. This video will end here.